Alright, so you're working on your fantasy map, whether it's for your book, for your RPG, or maybe you just love fantasy cartography because, yeah, it's awesome. But you really want to figure out how to do your trees, and you're having a hard time trying to decide how you want to do your trees. In this video, I'm going to show you how I like to do my trees to make my forests look really full in my maps. Let's get to it. Okay, so just like mountains, we want to know where we're going with our forest. Now, if your forest has a name, we got to make sure that name is in there first because we want to make sure our trees and our forest move around that name. Okay, so in my example here, we're going to go with the cerulean forest. So as you can see, we have the cerulean forest with the name of the forest on the map beforehand so that we can work around it. Okay, so before we really get going, I'm going to kind of sketch out a little area so we know where our forest is going to be. So we're going to say that it kind of comes down in this area, just like that, and it's got this nice big area where it kind of carves out of the forest. That's a nice looking little forest, and what we're going to try to do is we're going to try and stick within this sketched area. This sketched area gives us a good reference point. Now we can go a little further out, we can put a couple of trees out past it. In fact, it's probably good for us to do that because it'll give it this nice odd natural shape for us to look at. But this is a really easy way for you to get really organic looking forests by just making a messy sketch and trying to fit your forest around those sketch lines, going in a little bit on some areas, going out a little bit on others. Okay, now to drawing trees. Okay, so drawing trees may sound like this really crazy hard thing that you've got to do, but I'm gonna tell you right now that it's actually a lot easier than you expect, because really you only need to know a couple of basic shapes. One, you need to know how to draw a triangle with a rounded bottom. You have to be able to draw a triangle with a rounded bottom. And look how my triangles aren't even the same. Notice how most of them actually are different, and that's okay because it's going to give you a more organic feel and look to your trees. The other shape that you need to know is an oblong round shape. Now it's not even really round. Let me show you what I mean. The other shape is going to be a shape kind of like this. It almost looks like a meatball, huh? If I make another one like this, look how it's kind of like, that one's more like an olive, and then I can make another one that's kind of like that. Look at that. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a triangle tree with a rounded bottom. Let me show you why. Because at the end of the game, you're going to put little sticks on the bottom, okay? Indicating that those are trunks on the tree. Right now you're thinking, that's crazy. That's going to look terrible. Let me show you why it's not. Okay, so it's time for us to draw our trees, and we're going to start right here because I want to get pretty close to the cerulean forest so that you guys can see how this works around it. Notice how I'm not going in a straight line. Make sure that you don't go in a straight line. Look at this. See how I'm following this all the way around? Look, I'm actually going to go out a little bit and then come back in a little bit. Right now you're looking at this going, this looks like a crazy mess. How is this going to turn out to be a forest? The reason that you put triangle ones interspersed in the circle ones is you're going to see a really cool, different, variated forest. Let me show you how that's going to fill in. So now we're going to go in and we're going to actually fill some of this part of the forest up. We're going to find the spots that are obvious, like that one and like this one, and this one's kind of obvious. We got to move those in together. This one, this one. Let's make one right here, a little tree. Okay, go in like this, going around. An important piece to this forest is make sure that you never connect the end of a circle with the tip of a triangle. Let me show you what I mean. You never want to go from the tip of a triangle to a circle. It's going to mess it up because you're not going to be able to see that tip in the middle of all the circles. Okay, so let me go back and we're going to make couple of other trees around it, okay? And then make the circle go around the tip. Did you see that? Another one right here. Now you're getting the point. Once we start filling in all these trees, it's gonna start looking like a pretty nice looking forest, especially when you zoom out. Because once you start zooming out, you can see that people won't worry about all the minor details of the forest. They're just going to see this really robust, full forest. And it turns out really cool at the end of the day. Let's put some more trees in here really fast. Now, a really important thing that I need to show you before we move on is going around the wording. Around the wording, I'm going to build some trees up right here. So we go around the words. Now, normally you don't do this and go across because then you'll have to fill in all this space. But for the point of this example, we're going to build up right here just so you guys can see how we're going to move around the words. Now look, sometimes you put a double triangle tree because it makes it look really nice. Now notice I'm not going in right here. We don't really need to. We can if we want. You can kind of push it really close if we wanted to. But you really don't have to get close because you want it to be very legible for people. Now, notice how I do a lot of round ones going up. If we have a lot in a row this way, it's hard to throw in a triangle one right here and then kind of come up at the top. It kind of makes it look a little odd. So, we're just going to keep going. The idea is that you want to work this way as well, so that they meet right here instead of having to come up with some way to make them connect. And then we'll have a nice forest all the way around the words. We add all of our tree trunks. Any tree that's on the bottom edge of the forest, put a tree trunk on it. Now if we take away our sketch, we're starting to get a nice little forest down there. Again, we won't have this mess. But our forest will start making all sorts of shapes. It'll be really cool. But what if I have mountains and I need my trees to go around the mountains? Check it out. We've already got our mountains from our mountain video. And if you haven't gotten to watch the mountain video, you can check that out right here. I'll put a link in the description and I'll put a link at the end of this video so that you can go check that one out too. Here's our nice little mountain range. And as you can see, we didn't continue it all the way over here, obviously. We've got enough valleys over here and here and here and here and here and here for me to give you an example of what it looks like to draw trees around the mountains. Same basic principles, same basic shapes. The only difference is that for the mountains, we're actually not going to put a bottom on the tree. Okay, so we'll do this. But when the trees are next to the mountain, okay, we just won't put a bottom on them. But it's the same basic premise. We put a bunch of trees in, we put little triangle trees in to kind of break up the regular forest, and we keep going. And now you can see that this is a well-forested valley right here. And we could do that over here in this kind of long valley right here. Let's do one right here. Now the craziest thing about all this is that it's painstaking work. It takes a long time to draw this many trees. And this is just one way to draw trees and draw forests. But I actually think this is probably one of the best ways to draw forests because it really looks very full and thick, and it can give you that feeling of having really ancient, storied forests that people can explore in your world. And you just keep making your meatballs and your pizza slices. But as you can see when we zoom out, we've got a pretty nice looking forest inside this mountainous valley, and we've got it coming out a little bit on this side, we've got it coming out a little bit of this side, we've got it going up into the valley on this side, and we've got a pretty good looking forest going on in the Blue Mountains. Now I know this seemed like really basic tutorial, but the reality is that it takes a long time to do this kind of forest. It's worth it though, because it is going to look really good when you're done. Practice your trees on a separate piece before you get into it. And honestly, after about 10 trees, you're gonna be like, oh, I've got this. This is gonna turn into a really cool forest. If you guys would like to see some more of the worlds that I've created, you can get 7 free fantasy stories for free. I'm serious, for free at my website, freefantasyfiction.com. If you guys wanna learn more about fantasy map making, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys next time.